10th, 2025 meeting of the Johnson County Council. Amy, could we have a roll call, please?
Pamela Burton.
Present.
Melinda Grayson.
Present.
John Mallers.
Here.
Shannon Reyes.
Here.
John Dittmers.
Here.
Todd Bates.
Present.
And Jonathan T. Myers is absent.
I'm going to pray if anyone would care to join me. Dear Lord, we come before you with gratitude to serve this community. Grant us wisdom, humility, and unity as we discuss matters that impact those we serve. May everything we do bring you honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Care to stand, or stand please for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And the next item would be approval of tonight's agenda, and there are a few additions and changes. So under item B, routine matters, number 14, we are going to, there's a transfer letter from the Highway Department transferring $1,785.25, and you have a letter in your packet from asphalt, concrete, and aggregate to for grant adjustments. This money is being used to close out Fund 9168, and that's the 23-24 Community Crossings Matching Grant, and that is under routine matters and consent agenda. And then under the same B item, B12, it states it's $21,500. That is an incorrect amount. That should be $1,500. And then under E2, old and new business, we are adding a discussion for a representative for the Opioid Advisory Board from this council. And then item E3 will be discussion for the county liaison list. There are 2 departments, I believe, that we have to revisit for a county liaison. Did I miss anything, Amy? I believe that's all the changes, so I'm open for a motion to accept tonight's agenda with the changes.
Move to approve as amended?
Can I also ask to add something to that section?
What is it you'd like to
A
add?
motion to discuss independent counsel.
Why don't we do that under public comments?
Sure.
Okay. So I've got a motion by Mr. Mallers to approve tonight's agenda with the changes, and there was a second from
Dittmers.
Mr. Dittmers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda passes. And now we will open the floor for public comment, and that is limited to 5 minutes per person. And Ms. Grismer has already stated she would like to speak, so when she's finished, we'll open it up for anyone else. So go ahead, Melinda.
Okay, yeah, Melinda Grayson, County Council at Large. Hey, I wanted to talk about how I feel it is in the best interest of the county council to retain independent counsel for numerous reasons, but some of which have prompted my immediate concern. We are all independently and collectively whistleblowers. When we find out that something is not right, we are obligated to act quickly and swiftly. I have felt that there are other departments within the county, boards rather, that are not acting quickly and swiftly on behalf of Johnson County residents and taxpayers. I am limited on the council of what I can do. So that is why It's in my best interest, it's in the best interest of the county council, and it's in the best interest of the taxpayers to retain independent counsel. And I would like to make a move for the council to hire independently for representation on these matters.
Is that all?
The story behind the story is really huge, but we are responsible individually and collectively. And I feel that there are major issues that impact Johnson County residents that are not being acted on swiftly enough by various boards within the county.
Okay, stop me if I'm speaking incorrectly because I'm doing this from memory. I think we've had this discussion before, and I think it was decided that we would seek outside counsel. And again, I'm doing this from memory, that we would seek outside counsel, and we have, with no interest from anyone at this point.
I have found somebody.
Okay, let me finish. The process I think that we had decided was if someone was interested, they could submit application to the county and we would review it as a whole. And I think we even decide a minimum amount to retain this person would be $5,000 per year. And that this would just be for questions or situations that we felt could not be resolved with differing of opinions through our current county attorneys. This would not be for, to represent us in any way, in any large scale. Any of those individual situations would be would be handled and considered individually. And I believe we also discussed that all questions or all information going to this attorney would filter through all of us and be presented by the president. So those were just some of the discussions.
Well,
Hang on just a second. Can anyone else remember anything else that we discussed as far as the attorney went?
I think that was pretty much it.
I know you say you have someone. I reached out to several. Did we place an ad? We never did place an ad in the paper. I know we reached out to several.
I did hear the name Zach Lang come up
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
Did we investigate that any further, or?
I did not.
Okay.
Zach worked for the Johnson County Commissioners prior to moving on to whatever job he is now. Zach, like anyone else, would be more than happy to take his application. My only drawback with Zach was that we're doing this in order to get an opinion away.
Yeah.
If there's a conflict, basically, between one governing body and another. Now, that's not to indicate that Zach couldn't do that, but yes, he would be. So I think, Melinda, because there was no movement on it by anyone else, I had basically just exhausted every avenue that I had. So,
well, I have made phone calls myself and have Michelle Harder, who has expressed interest in this. If you would let me know what she needs to do, I will relay this information back to her. She is interested, and I think she, as a Johnson County resident herself, will keep the Johnson County residents in mind and advocate for Johnson County people.
we had that discussion as well. And there was a lot of entwining with different attorneys and different legal firms and things with a lot of Johnson County businesses. And you are correct. That was my first thought, was try to get someone in Johnson County, and that would be great. But yes, I will figure out what the details are on taking applications, and then we'll go from there, and also getting it advertised. We'll get it advertised, and on that same note, if anyone else specifically wants to reach out, please do so. But this is something that we did decide to move forward with last year, I believe.
Also, though, I do kind of feel, though, that the $5,000 a year is not adequate enough for addressing all the issues. I think that's going to be shortchanging us, and it's not going to allow the attorney, whoever we decide, the opportunity to adequately express.
Well,
what
I
we
think
mean.
once we have applicants that we want to interview, I think that will be a detailed discussion for the scope of services that we'll all need to look at and think about and bring to the table for discussion and a vote. So, but yes, absolutely have her submit an application. Tiffany, where would be the best place for her to do that, you think? Or Amy?
Yeah, we can-
To your office, Amy, maybe? Okay, so we can submit him to, in care of Elizabeth at the auditor's office, and then I'll work with you on, or not just me, but we can work with Amy on getting a suitable advertisement to be placed in, and Elizabeth to be placed in the paper, and maybe set up interviews for, I don't know, several suggested private interviews prior to coming to a public meeting, with two or three individual council members for the different ones, so we could have more detailed information, but we can talk about that as we move forward. But yes, Melinda, we can and will be happy to take applications to the auditor's office.
Okay.
Okay? All right, moving on. Are there any other public comments or anyone have anything? No? Okay. Item number B, routine matters under the consent agenda. And by a single motion, the board approves the following items noted, which may include salary ordinances, amendments, additional appropriations, reductions, and transfers. And any items listed on the consent agenda may be removed by a council member and moved to the regular agenda. Assuming everyone has had the opportunity to do so, is there anything on there that anyone would like to discuss or have moved to the regular agenda?
I would make a motion to,
I have something, I'm sorry, I was trying to be
okay.
polite, if you could make just 1 second. I have nothing I need to move, but I will tell you on items 4 through 9, it took me forever to figure that out with the information that was provided. Now, there wasn't good information, but I just want to be clear that that is a state called administrative cleanup. Is that what I'm looking at that? And I'm asking the ones in the audience here that are, Angela, are you? Hello? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes,
On those items 1 through 9, it's a cleanup by the state for those grants,
yes.
right? Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure because it was very convoluted for me. I'm sorry, I don't deal with it anymore every day. One other question that I have on, nope, this one's under C. So 1 through 9 under the, 4 through 9 was, if you'll look at the documents that were provided, it's just a state called cleanup of those services. So I appreciate it. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know if I was correct on what it was doing. Okay, so now, no one else has any further discussion? Prepared for a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
as amended.
As amended.
We have a first by Mr. Mallers, a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to salary ordinances, amendments, additional appropriations, reductions, and transfers. Hi.
Steve Kermode, Assistant Director, Community Corrections, Adult Community Corrections. 1 and 2, I think we could kind of group together, even though they're listed separately. These are to pay employee group health insurance that was originally scheduled to be paid out of our DOC grant in 2024. This was the first year that DOC subtracted what we hadn't used in the 2-year cycle previously from that overall grant, and we weren't prepared for that at the time of writing it, and thought we could finagle some things around in the grant, but it didn't work. So these are both fee-based accounts that we would be paying the health insurance for 2 employees out of.
Will you be able to glean that back in the future, you think? As far as being able to appropriate for that out of that grant?
We have now.
Okay,
Yeah, we're prepared for that.
okay.
Question, so this money, are these funds that are going to reimburse the county for paying for the health care? Could you help me understand that?
They're both.
Yeah,
sorry.
anytime a grant allows for it to pay for the employee's part, not to cut you off, but the employee's part on the county health insurance, it is, they automatically pay it and give it back to the county. And there's numerous grants throughout the county that reimburses for. Yeah, and not just grants, correct, but it reimburses for their part on the county health
So
insurance.
that money goes back to
Exactly.
general fund?
Right, for insurance.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sure does. This is me talking like I know what I'm saying. Okay, so let's take item 1 and 2 first. Prepare-
I would make a motion to approve item C, numbers 1 and 2 as presented.
Second.
I have a first by Michelle Graves and a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay.
3 is a reappropriation of 2024 SIM grant. So they extended that grant through September 30th of 2025, and those were the unspent funds from 2024. So we'll be able to use them in this up through September 30th. I think the only change was just changing the biweekly max for the 2025 salary. That was different from the 2024.
Is
We
this a
can-
pay increase to the employee?
We can hardly hear you up
Sorry.
here, Steve. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's the pay increase from 2024 to 2025. So it's just that cost of living pay increase.
It's a cleanup, okay.
Yeah,
You're just speaking of number 3, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Number 3 is just the unspent funds from 2024. We send them back usually, and this state awarded an extension on those through September 30th of 2025.
So any money you didn't spend, you got to use it in 2025, and this is
Correct.
how you're using this, correct?
Yes. And it's exactly how we used it in 2024.
No more discussion. I'm prepared for a motion.
Move to approve item C3 as presented.
The first by Mr. Mallers,
Second.
second by Mr. Dittmers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Number 4 is also you, correct?
It is. 4 was a claim that was submitted, let me get this straight, from a 2023 grant that there was still some cash in it, and it was mistakenly used for a 2024 grant item, and this is a correction on that as well. So it's in the same grant. The money was there. We just have to change the grant adjustment.
So, being someone that sat in there for years and years and years and did these claims,
Yeah,
you just overlooked it, right? So what happened at the end of the grant?
yes, our office overlooked it.
Prior to, in time to do a claim adjustment, correct?
There was, so the way I understand it, the 2023 grant cycle was finished, there was still cash in there, and we would eventually send that money back to the state, but it was mistakenly used. at the beginning of 2024. Is that correct, Amy?
I was thinking it was paid from a different grant. And the other grant was overspent, so we're in the claim adjustment to correct this one, but because it's after December 31st, we have to go through this process. We can't just
I'm-
claim adjustment, we have to cut a check.
I'm familiar. And the only reason I point that out, and you would have no way of knowing this other than you know, but something that is that simple as getting it approved to do that is a landslide of paperwork in
Yeah.
other parts. So if there's any way to flag those grants coming to an end, that would really be helpful to everybody else. Or at least in time to do the adjustment rather than having to do a check. And because then it gets involved in an audit, and it just is, once you're done with it, there's another 5 miles of stuff that needs to be done.
No, I
So-
completely understand.
So, appreciate that. Anybody else?
No, that only leads into a question I've got, Steve, and that's control points on how to get out ahead of these so that we avoid cleanup. What do those look like? These grants are convoluted, and it's fairly complicated, right, to kind of keep track of everything. Are there control points in place to track that, to make sure you know what's in what bucket and the clock's ticking on a deadline, right?
Yeah, I've created an internal reconciliation process to hopefully eliminate all of these issues moving forward,
Yeah.
but that just started in 2025.
Yeah.
So it's part of my cleanup process, but yeah, it's.
Work in process, right? Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yep.
And you do a phenomenal job. We appreciate
Thank you.
it. So if there's no further discussion, I'm prepared to take a motion.
That's number 4.
Uh-huh.
C4. C4, I'd move that we approve item C4, mental health court.
Second.
So we have a first by Mr. Dittmers, approve item 4 as presented, and a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is drug-free community. We all received a letter. I was under the impression that Ms. McMahon, oh, there she is, on the wall. Hi.
Hi, yeah. Hi, I'm here tonight with Drug Free Johnson County, and we're just making our allocations request so that we can fund our grantees. As always, we have a surplus of really wonderful programs and initiatives, and it's hard to fund them all, but we get it all pared down, and we spend every dime of our budget trying to get it back into the community to do great things for prevention, education, treatment intervention, and law enforcement. So I'm just asking today, we had our grant agreements approved this morning at the commissioners meeting. I'm just asking to allocate the funds so that we can get them out to our grantees to get the work going.
It's a lot of worthwhile programs there.
Yes, fantastic programming. We're seeing a lot of youth who are being impacted by this, trying to get our numbers down on things like vaping and alcohol use in youth. We're trying to get our law enforcement some of those tools that it's a little more difficult for them to get for undercover narcotics and things like that, or in the field testing for things like fentanyl that are really dangerous. And we want to make sure that they can be safe and that we can help them as much as possible. And then also providing the treatment that we can and some of those programs that go along with treatment, so that people can get their regular prescriptions while they're in treatment, things of that nature. So I feel really great about the work that we're doing. And I'm excited for another year.
And that's $82,133.49.
Yeah, it should be $27,377.83 in each of the 3 categories.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 3 categories are treatment intervention, prevention and education, justice, law enforcement. So.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or discussion?
I was just curious why each one has got the same amount. Is that just?
Indiana Criminal Justice Institute they have a statute for us where we have to spend 75% of all of our funding, and we have to split it between each of the three categories at least 25% in each category. And this year we had less funding, unfortunately, than we've had in years prior. So it just kind of ended up where they all shaked out the same.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate your work.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion or questions, I'm prepared to take a motion.
I would motion to approve C5 as presented.
Second.
We have a first by Michelle Graves and a second by Mr. Bates. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to, there's nothing under other business, so moving on to old and new business. We have item number 1, the Health Department.
Betsy Swearingen, Director, Health Department. We are here to ask to create to change our petty cash process to more in line with the State Board of Accounts. So we currently have one cash bag, and we would like to have each of our employees that sit up front and handle money on a daily basis have their own cash bag to then be taken out every morning following the procedures that we included and returned at the end of the day. We just think it'll be a better accounting process for when we make change for people for birth and death certificates and immunizations and TB and stuff like that.
Have you discussed this with your boss,
I have. we
Jeff
have.
Qualls?
Yes, we have.
Have you discussed this with the Johnson County Board of Health?
No, this came up prior. We had to have it on the agenda prior to meeting with our board.
Well, I recommend you consult with all your resources before changing county policies.
Isn't that state mandated, the procedures that you followed that you sent out? Or your-
It was, since the inception of the health department, they've always had one cash bag. That's how it was run. And so, but into looking into State Board of Account procedures and a better accounting process, we thought we would do that.
Michelle, you handle as treasurer, there's a process at the end of the year that goes through. Is memory serve me right on that?
Well, the treasurer's office doesn't have a petty cash. The treasurer's office has, I don't know what the term was called on the funds, but we have a cash drawer for each deputy treasurer. And there were strict guidelines that had to be followed as far as internal controls.
Okay.
I was curious, because when I read your request the first time, it seemed like you were requesting this policy change in order to eliminate so many trips to the bank. And you're saying now that maybe this policy change is for better accounting. To me, it seems like it would be more money and more drawers and more work as far as accounting to keep track of if you take one drawer and $50 and now it's 6 drawers and $300.
Sure. I can understand that, and I don't have a problem with working or walking across the parking lot to the bank to get, more change if we need to. I just think that we were thinking that this was more along what we had talked to Amy about on accounting purposes for the State Board of Accounts.
Well, I don't see, I guess help me understand, because I want to understand your request, the reason behind your request. If the State Board of Accounts process would be the same for 1 drawer or 6 drawers.
I understand I get what you're saying on that. I just thought that they said that if you have one pot with multiple people reaching into that, if it's hard to account for what happened to that money in the one pot because more than one person
Okay.
was reaching into
Why
there.
does more than one person need to be reaching into money pot?
Because we keep some we have our our vital records department, and then we have our nursing department, so they could be simultaneously doing something at the same time, and the pot of money is kept in the vital records department.
This isn't really petty cash, though, is it?
No,
This is
it's
like a
just
change
change.
drawer.
It's a
all
change
it
drawer.
Yeah.
Petty cash was
That's
the
entirely
incorrect,
different issue.
petty cash was the incorrect word, that's why we resubmitted the
Yeah.
letter and
And you
realized.
submitted your SOPs and the State
did,
Board of
we
Account
did.
requirements and your
Right.
procedures, and so.
I think
don't-
we just
I
didn't
don't
call
think-
it the right thing, it's
yeah.
not petty cash, it's a change
I
drawer.
don't think it's anything
For
out
for making change for customers that come in,
Out of
if
the
they get a death
unusual
or birth
at
certificate.
all. So,
I'm the new
So
kid.
why the urgency now to do this, if this has been going on since the inception, as you say?
There isn't any urgency, so if you don't feel like you'd like to support it, then I understand completely.
No urgency.
okay, any further discussion? Any-
I was going to ask, I'm the new kid on the block. I assume those who are involved in money handling are bonded. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Else? There's no further discussion, I'm prepared to take a motion.
Move to approve, what do I want to say? The request to increase the amount for the cash drawers.
We have a first by Mr. Mallers.
I second that.
I have a second by Mr. Dittmers. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye. No.
So that's a no by Ms. Grissomer and a no by Mrs. Graves. And then we have 4 other ayes, so it passes.
Thank you.
Thank
If I
you,
could-
Betsy.
If I could, Betsy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just a kind of a house cleaning question on balancing and what the reconciliation piece is for each one of those, each one that is responsible for that $50. What is that, what's that look like from a,
Wasn't that on what we
Yes.
provided?
I
We
submitted
got
that to
all
you,
that.
I have a
Yeah.
copy if
so
you'd
it's,
like a copy
so
of
it's
it.
balanced, there is, no,
Yes.
There's segregation of duties, it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought anyway.
Okay, I'll take that. I'm good.
Yeah, I looked
I
at
should
it.
read my
as well.
packet, right?
Telling me last month. Thank you, Betsy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item E3, council liaison. Nope, I'm sorry, E2, opioid advisory board. Ms. Grissomer had submitted that she would no longer be able to be part of the opioid advisory board. Thank you for the things that you've done, Melinda. We appreciate that. Now, we need a representative from this council to that board. I am unfamiliar with how often they meet. I know they're going to be, I know there's a lot of money involved, and I've kept up with reading everything and the different programs they're doing and that type of thing. But can you give us a little insight on that?
Yes, there shouldn't be more than 2 to 3 meetings a year. We're going to do 1 disbursement a year as it stands right now. We did the 2024, if you remember, it was kind of condensed really quickly because we wanted to appropriate that in 2024. I sent out the invites for May because we would like to regroup and see how it's going, get some updates on the first disbursements. I've already gotten some claims that have been paid out. So really, 1 disbursement a year. We have the application open for, I believe, 30 days. And once we get all the applications in, I wanted everybody to have at least 30 days to review. We could do more. We're not really under a time crunch. We already did it in December. It's really not that much.
And you
commitment.
meet here at the county?
Yes.
In the evening?
We've done it during the day, but you can zoom in if necessary. So we can arrange time. It was really just based on everyone's availability because it's pretty large board.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions as far as what the responsibility would be on this advisory board?
If it helps, there was 4 applicants last cycle. Each application is like maybe 20 pages at the most. And then we're talking about just charts, budgets.
People applying for money through the grant?
Exactly. Most of them were less than 10 pages. It wasn't
I've
a
got you.
huge amount of reading, so.
Okay. So I guess the first question would be, is there anyone on council, I know we can't speak for JT, he has always had a passion for this type of stuff, but I didn't hear back from him on anything. I didn't know he wasn't going to be here this evening. So is there an interest from any of us who are here this evening that might be interested in this advisory board? No.
Ron Bates, how about you down there?
Not yet.
Well, I'll step up and take it if everyone's okay with it, with the condition that if Mr. Myers would like to do it, I'll be more than happy to hand it off to him. So if you can keep me abreast of everything, and then I'll get with him, and between the two of us, see, one of us takes it. Is that suitable for everybody else? Okay, no objections? All right. Well, that takes care of item E2, thank you. So now, item E3, council liaison list. We all are given different departments throughout the county to represent as their liaison. And normally what happens if there is a circumstance that someone feels that they need additional information to us as a board, they will reach out to their liaison to make sure that they have a complete understanding of what their request is or what's going on. That liaison will then turn around and educate or inform the rest of us. Doesn't necessarily mean that liaison is an automatic yes or no vote. It means they're going to review everything and present all the information to be helpful to that department on presenting it. This doesn't require a vote, and I have never known it to be. It more or less has just been divided up as to who is willing to do what they want to do. This doesn't mean that any department is limited to one person. They can reach out to one or all 7 of us. So it's just an avenue to assist a department if in fact they so choose to. So we have a couple of departments. I believe it's the health department and the coroner's office, correct?
Correct.
That Melinda has asked to be relieved from. So at this point, this is something that we can take away with us and think about. And in the meantime, anyone from those 2 departments can reach out to myself or anybody else on this board if they have a need for a liaison, or we can discuss whatever you'd like to discuss this evening. But I don't know that it's something we have to make that determination tonight, and it doesn't require a vote. So floor open to anybody else that would like to speak.
I just want to make a comment that I think it's in the best interest of the county residents that whoever is the liaison for the health department and then also for the coroner's office be separate people to maintain objectivity.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So essentially what we're looking for here, because we got this request, is someone's got to either take on more or give up something and trade.
Not necessarily give up something.
So take on more then in that case, right? Okay.
Yeah, and where that's going to create a problem is going to be at budget time. But that doesn't mean Melinda's not going to step up and help everywhere she can at budget time and pick up some of the slack on some of the other departments. And we all work together as a team.
I
So-
personally feel things should be running far different than what they should be. And in order to make sure that we have objectivity, we need some other voices to step up.
I'm sorry, you'll have to explain a little, what is it?
It's cryptic, I know.
Are you talking about on the council, you feel things are not being run as far as liaisons?
No.
Like
No.
Okay.
Departments.
Okay, so we're good here then. Okay, so that's my suggestion. So anyone else, my suggestion is every department in this county can reach out to any of us, any 7 of us. We'll help in any way we can. Each of you have a liaison, with the exception of 2 at this point. If those 2 offices need someone between now and then, they feel they need an individual, they can reach out to myself, Michelle, anybody on this council, and we will step up and get you help, or we will help you. And then let's think about moving forward, who would like to take on the other two departments. And that might be a good suggestion on separating those moving forward, but we can do that. That's not a problem.
I second that.
Oh, well, no, that's not a motion.
I would say, Madam President, I would recommend that we not make any decisions tonight, and everyone go home and think about what they are able to do or not do, and communicate with each other, and then come back next month and make a public announcement of who's going to be liaison for who. I say let's give it a month and everyone think about what they can do.
It's a good idea. Everybody okay with that? All right. Well, looks like we're through the regular agenda. Anyone else have anything?
Do
Yes.
not.
Come up with something.
You know what, I think this is a record meeting for me.
I have an idea. Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a first and a second to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.